Japan believed America had only 296,000 sailors. A manageable threat, one they could defeat with precision and speed. But then came the truth. The United States Navy didn't have 296,000 men. It had over 2 million. In that single moment, Japan's confidence cracked. Every plan, every calculation, every illusion of victory, gone. This wasn't just a war of ships and bullets anymore. It was a war of scale, of industry, of unstoppable force. Today, we uncover the shocking numbers that made Japan realize the Pacific War was already lost long before the final bombs fell. The illusion of power. December 6th, 1941, Tokyo Bay, Japan. The sea is calm, deceptively calm. The Imperial Japanese Navy's flagship, Nagato, rests proudly in the morning mist. Below decks, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto studies a chart spread across the polished wood table, a map that stretches from Pearl Harbor to the distant American mainland. His officers stand silent, watching as Yamamoto, pipe in hand, traces a red line across the Pacific. Outside, the rhythmic clang of hammers echoes through the shipyards. Thousands of workers are busy preparing Japan's Navy for what they believe will be their greatest victory, the attack on Pearl Harbor. America, one officer says quietly, has only 300,000 sailors. We will destroy their fleet before they can even respond. Yamamoto exhales a slow plume of smoke. He knows better. You underestimate them, he replies. You can run wild for 6 months, maybe a year, but after that, he doesn't finish the sentence. The room falls silent. At that moment, the Japanese Navy's intelligence division had made a fatal assumption that the United States Navy numbered roughly 296,000 sailors. It was a figure they believed gave Japan the advantage. Fast carriers, experienced crews, and a head start. But what Japan didn't realize was that America's sleeping giant was about to awaken and multiply. December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The morning air is filled with the whine of aircraft engines. Japanese A6M-0s dive through columns of black smoke as battleships erupt in flames below. Sailors aboard the USS Arizona barely have time to react. The sky is red with fire and oil. The attack is a triumph for Japan, a military masterpiece executed with precision. Tokyo celebrates. Newspapers declare that America's Pacific Fleet is crippled. But beneath the cheering, a quiet arrogance begins to grow the belief that Japan has already won the naval war. For months, Japanese commanders operate under this illusion. Their codebreakers and analysts report that America has lost over half its battleships, with the U.S. Navy supposedly limited to a few carriers and destroyers. Japan's expansion across the Pacific continues unchecked, from the Philippines to the Dutch East Indies. Yet in Washington, D.C., beneath the white columns of the Navy Department, something unprecedented begins to unfold. Early 1942, the Pentagon, Washington, D.C. Fleet Admiral Ernest King stands before a room of Navy planners. His message is simple. We're not rebuilding the Navy. We're building a new one. American industry roars to life. Ford, General Motors, and Bethlehem Steel begin producing ships on an unimaginable scale. Women fill the factories, welding plates, riveting hulls, painting insignias. In 1941, America had less than 300,000 sailors. Within 3 years, that number would explode to over 2 million. Destroyers, carriers, submarines, entire fleets begin to appear from nothing. Shipyards in San Francisco, New York, and Norfolk operate day and night. Every week, new hulls slide into the water. By mid-1943, the Japanese Navy, once the most powerful in the Pacific, begins to notice something terrifying. Every battle they win, the Americans return stronger. Every ship they sink, 3 more appear. June 1942, Midway Atoll. On the morning of June 4th, the Japanese fleet moves into position. Admiral Nagumo, confident after months of victories, orders the attack on Midway. But above the clouds, American dive bombers from the USS Enterprise and USS Yorktown are closing in. Within minutes, 4 Japanese carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu, are ablaze. The core of Japan's naval aviation is gone. Yamamoto receives the report in disbelief. He stares at the map of the Pacific, realizing his worst fear. America's response has come faster and harder than anyone expected. Still, Tokyo clings to hope. Japanese intelligence officers insist the U.S. can't sustain such losses. They're running out of men, one says confidently. Their navy cannot possibly replace its crews at this rate. He is wrong. By the end of 1943, new American training bases stretch from California to the Great Lakes. Fresh sailors, young men from Iowa farms, New York streets, and southern towns are being trained faster than Japan can kill them. The Imperial Japanese Navy, once a symbol of precision and discipline, begins to fracture under the pressure. Ships lack fuel, crews are undertrained, communication breaks down. But the full extent of Japan's miscalculation is yet to come, a revelation so shocking that even Tokyo's high command will fall into stunned silence. The realization and the fall. September 1944, Imperial Navy Headquarters, Tokyo. The air inside the war room feels heavy, thick with cigarette smoke and disbelief. Maps of the Pacific cover the walls once marked with confident red arrows stretching toward Hawaii, now cluttered with circles and X's where the Imperial Navy has been pushed back. Rear Admiral Matome Ugaki leans over a sheet of intercepted American naval data, recently decrypted from captured transmissions. His voice trembles slightly as he speaks. Admiral Toyota, these numbers can't be correct. Fleet Admiral Soemu Toyota, commander of the combined fleet, adjusts his glasses and squints at the figures. The page lists an impossible tally. Over 2,034,000 active U.S. Navy personnel, nearly 1,200 warships, 27 fleet and light carriers, hundreds of destroyers, and tens of thousands of aircraft. Toyota reads the total again, lips tightening. For months, Japanese intelligence had been operating under the assumption that the American Navy could never exceed 500,000 sailors. The realization now strikes like a physical blow. We thought they had 296,000, Ugaki whispers. But this is not a fleet. This is an ocean unto itself. The room falls silent. The faint hum of the radio equipment is the only sound. Outside, Tokyo trembles beneath the distant rumble of B-29 bombers on a night raid. At that moment, the illusion of parity, of somehow matching the United States ship for ship, plane for plane, shatters completely. October 23rd, 1944, Leyte Gulf, the Philippines. The largest naval battle in history is about to begin. The sea churns beneath hundreds of ships on both sides, stretching beyond the horizon. The Japanese fleet, once the terror of the Pacific, sails now as a desperate gamble, divided and short on fuel. On the bridge of the Yamato, the world's largest battleship, Captain Aruga Kosaku watches his crew prepare for battle. Many are barely out of training. Few have seen combat. "We fight for the Emperor," one young sailor says, tightening his grip on the railing. From the east, the sky begins to glow black silhouettes of hundreds of American aircraft rising from carriers Essex, Franklin, and Intrepid. The roar of engines fills the air. The battle is merciless. Within 2 days, the Imperial Navy is effectively annihilated. Battleships sink beneath columns of fire and smoke. Carriers vanish in boiling seas. The Japanese lose over 25 major warships and 400 aircraft. For every Japanese vessel destroyed, the Americans lose almost none. For the first time, Japanese officers openly admit the truth. They are fighting a war they can no longer sustain. Late 1944, Yokosuka Naval Base, Japan. Young recruits line up on the docks pale, malnourished, frightened. The veterans are gone. The officers no longer speak of victory. Instead, they whisper about survival. Food rations are scarce, fuel reserves nearly empty. The once proud fleet of carriers and cruisers now sits rusting in the harbor, unable to sail. Intelligence reports confirm what no one dares to say aloud. America is producing ships faster than Japan can count them. In the time it takes Japan to build a single destroyer, the U.S. Navy launches 10. For every Japanese pilot lost, the Americans train 5 replacements. Tokyo's war planners begin to realize they are not just outnumbered, they are out-industrialized, out-trained, and out-supplied on a scale no empire in history has faced. March 1945, Okinawa. The thunder of naval artillery echoes like an earthquake. Over 1,500 U.S. warships surround the island. Battleships, carriers, cruisers, and destroyers, forming a wall of steel and fire. From the beaches to the hills, Okinawa burns. Japanese commanders send their final weapon, the kamikaze. Hundreds of pilots, some barely 20 years old, fly their planes into American ships. The sky fills with flames, but the Navy absorbs the blows and keeps advancing. The sheer scale of American naval power now borders on the unimaginable. Supply lines stretch from San Francisco to Saipan. Every wave of assault is backed by more ships, more men, more firepower. For Japan, the war has become a slow, inevitable collapse, not just of fleets and fortresses, but of hope itself. August 1945, Tokyo. The city lies in ruins. Smoke drifts over shattered neighborhoods. Radio Tokyo broadcasts the emperor's voice for the first time in history. His words are calm, almost distant. The war situation has developed not necessarily to Japan's advantage. In that moment, the full truth is known. Japan had never truly stood a chance after 1942. The war was lost not only in the skies or at sea, but in the math, in the staggering difference between belief and reality. The empire that believed America had 296,000 sailors had gone to war against a nation that would field 2,034,343. And when Japan finally understood the scale of that mistake, the Pacific War was already over.